Good afternoon, good morning. Welcome to the 19th edition of the Global Everis Awards. This occasion is a different kind of celebration, and even if it doesn't allow us closeness and contact, it permits us a much bigger experience without frontiers. This represents a commitment of the foundation and the company that supports us to continue helping entrepreneurship. A virtual ceremony indeed, but not distant, because what we want to share with pride is the talent of our top 10 finalists from countries in Europe and Latin America. And of course, we want to highlight the ingenious of the projects with which they are reimagining the world, with projects to leave a positive and transformational print in society. So we enter the subject. Let's begin the ceremony with the welcoming words of everis Foundation President, Noemi Sanin. Welcome, Noemi. Thank you very much, Carla. Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. A heartfelt thank you to those who, with the time limitations that this new reality has brought, are connected in a collective feeling of faith, of the human condition, of optimism in the face of adversity, and showing solidarity. My greeting of admiration to those who are using their talent, the best of tools, to mitigate, prevent, and solve the many difficulties that we are now living. A solidarity hug to all our companions who have lost a loved one or have found themselves hit by COVID these days. We never imagined that our 19th ceremony of the Everis Awards wouldn't be face-to-face, that our 2020 finalists wouldn't be able to personally present their projects in Madrid, or that giving a warm embrace of admiration would not be possible due to our rival Entelechy, which appeared just 11 months ago. But we also never imagined that technology, which we sometimes felt necessary only for academic and business purposes, would become so essential and determinant in all the movements of our daily lives. And it is that, during this time, technology has become our best ally. Let's imagine for a moment what would lockdown have been like without the possibilities that technology has given us. Without Instagram, Facebook, the networks which have allowed us to keep in touch with the world. Without Zoom, Teams or Google Meet, and the platforms with which we have been able to embrace each other, even if only through a screen. Without video calls so that grandparents can see how their grandchildren learn to walk or babble. Without the apps to have access to online content, or the apps that help commerce, distribution of medicine, and transactions occur. Even without going any further, to be able to be here today, gathered, but not afraid of the persecution of getting the virus, that is now so possible as merciless. We can't ignore that the pandemic has taken a hard economic toll, setting us in debt, in red numbers, exposing poverty even further, inequality, environmental irresponsibility, and deficit of investment in science and technology. It is also true that this is pushing us to a dizzying digital transformation, which can become an opportunity to redirect the course. As consequence of the pandemic, there is no human being who hasn't progressed in their knowledge or been modernized at least a little or a lot in the digital world. There is no country that hasn't improved its connectivity. In terms of business and institutions, the plans set half-term and in benefit of all have to be achieved immediately today. Today is a day of celebration and thanksgiving, a day to give thanks to all those who have been able to find an opportunity amidst the pandemic situation. It's a day of tribute for those who passed the idea to the completion of their projects, like the over 2,000 entrepreneurs who have participated in the Everis Awards. We want to celebrate and be thankful because we have been able to continue with the awards in 10 countries in Europe and Latin America. And something we never thought possible is that 30% of the projects received have been led by women. We are celebrating the talent of entrepreneurs that have continued believing, creating and reimagining technological, innovative, and sustainable solutions of great social impact that justify now more than ever the purpose of our foundation. We celebrate and congratulate our 10 finalists for setting an example and inspiration, showing us that with teamwork, innovation, audacity, discipline, and imagination, it is possible to find solutions. We also celebrate the priceless contribution of our volunteers, who are our real heritage, because they have made possible for Everis Foundation to adapt and reinvent itself during this year. Volunteers have found time, our most scarce utility, especially these days, to think of the well-being of others in a solidary way. Thanks to technology and the volunteers, we have digitalized all our activities and have targeted them with greater precision towards a necessary objective, the obligation of reducing the digital breach, the mentoring program for adolescents, the promotion of digital skills, and the support of our members and directors to entrepreneur projects have surpassed the geographical barriers, and in general terms, we have increased in 135% the number of our beneficiaries during this year. I don't want to name a long list of activities, so I will only add 2 new initiatives that we want to highlight. The first one, founded in the idea that our president, Eduardo Serra, has always defended, about the need to connect the production of knowledge with market needs. We have launched a reconversion program linked with employability to teach people with no previous academic training in programming duties, which are not covered and have a higher demand in the job market. The second, an initiative in alliance with Banco Interamericano de Desarrollo to find solutions based on blockchain that will put a stop to violence against women, children, and the elderly. We received over 50 projects, and the best is that 40% of these projects were led by women. A milestone to celebrate without a doubt. Within the list of reasons to celebrate and be thankful, we couldn't miss the most important one, the one that allows us to be here today, the support of Everis, the company that backs us and allows us to create initiatives to improve and transform lives, and in this way, society. I would like to finish by inviting you to join in enthusiastic manner so that this time won't be of fear and pessimism, but of thought and hope, that we can feel happy to work in an area that leads with strategy and technology in the construction of a better future. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Noemi, and I hope we never give up on being part of making a difference. To continue with today's calendar, I would like to welcome Everis President Eduardo Serra. Welcome, Eduardo.
Bienvenido.
Good morning. I would first like to thank the President of the Foundation, Noemi Sanim, this opportunity to share with all of you the meaning of these awards. As I was saying, it is really important to know where we come from, as this is the best way to know where we are headed. These awards of the Everis Foundation are created from the will of Everis founder Fernando Francés, who wanted to create a company based on talent and for talent, and wanted to give back to society what society had allowed him to create. An institution that is now comprised of over 28,000 people in 15 countries. Talent has probably become perhaps the most important source of wealth, but also in the strength of nations. These awards want to return and award the talent and entrepreneurship, the characteristics which are required in today's world. The world is probably going through changes, shifting from third gear to drive, increasing speed in everything. This is why it is important to get ready for this new speed. If it was easy to have a long-term job, the near future will create that the jobs that we have will be short-term ones. This is why we have to prepare people to become entrepreneurs and create their own companies and create new sources of wealth. If this is so, we have to rely on technology. Therefore, I believe these awards want to be based on talent, technology, and the need for each individual to create their own way of living, which is entrepreneurship. This is where we are at the moment, where we are headed. We are currently part of an enormous enterprise, one of the biggest in the world, which is the Japanese group NTT and NTT Data. This is why I wish to thank everis and NTT Data for this opportunity for awarding the young talents. Since talent is based on technology, and technology, in this case Spain, has given a few lessons to the world to have an ethical focus. This year's guest is one of the world's most renowned authorities in achieving that technology serves mankind and not mankind serving technology. Finally, I would like to thank the Foundation's team who make it possible, the everis team, and congratulate the participants and the finalists, and when we know the results, the champion. Thank you very much. Good morning.
Thank you very much, Eduardo. And as you say, that talent should focus on technology, but always with an ethical point. Thank you for joining us today. To go deeper into the multiple tools that we have in the hands of technology, our next guest. He's one of the most acknowledged representatives in artificial intelligence worldwide, focusing the human body. He's been a philosopher specialized in logic, faculty member for almost 2 decades at Stanford, a university which represents the avant-garde in innovation technology and epicenter of all the explosive growth at Silicon Valley. He is the creator and director of the Human High Stanford Institute for Human-Centered Artificial Intelligence, designed with only one passionate objective: to avoid developing artificial intelligence in such a neglectful manner that one day robots may become our worst enemies. Connecting from Stanford with John Etchemendy. Welcome, John.
First of all, I'd like to say that it's my honor to be speaking at this important event today, and I'd like to thank the Everest Foundation for the invitation. I'll be speaking today about the most profound and consequential technology of the 21st century, artificial intelligence. AI is going to impact every industry and every aspect of life. It's already impacting your life today. That we know. What we don't know is whether the impact will, on balance, be positive or will it be negative. Now, views on this question differ absolutely radically. Some claim that AI will usher in the greatest boom in prosperity ever seen. Others believe that it will result in the end of the human race. Now, this is how extreme the range of views about AI are. Now, first things first, let me begin with some definitions. What is AI? AI is a field of computer science. It was started about 60 years ago. It's a field whose goal is to create artifacts, machines, that can perform tasks that are usually thought to require intelligence. It automates tasks. Now, it's common to distinguish two kinds of AI. On the one hand, there's narrow AI. Narrow AI automates a single task or a single category of tasks. Some examples of narrow AI are the task of playing chess or driving a car, recommending purchases, or for that matter, translating from Spanish to English. General AI, or artificial general intelligence, AGI, is the goal of creating a machine that can perform any task, any intellectual task that a human can perform. For example, an AGI would be able to solve novel problems, learn new concepts, create original works of art or theories. Now, this leads to two perspectives on AGI, which I'll just mention. One is that AGI will give rise to infinite productivity. Now, the reason for that is productivity is a measure of the amount of output, products, goods that are produced by an hour of labor, of human labor. Once we have AGI, there will be no labor required to produce products. And so that would be, in theory, infinite productivity. Now, there's a dystopian perspective on AGI. This is represented by people like Elon Musk and Stephen Hawking, who see AGI as an existential threat. Their reasoning is as follows. When we see narrow AI systems, we find that once they achieve human capabilities, human performance levels in a given task, they soon become better than humans at performing that task. They become faster, more accurate, and just in general, better at doing the task. So, for example, we have examples like the IBM program Deep Blue that ended up beating the grandmasters of chess. And at this point, everyone knows that no human will be able to beat a computer playing chess. AlphaGo does the same thing with the game Go. So according to this perspective, AGI is going to lead not just to something that can match human intelligence, but to superintelligence. Okay, let me say right now that I believe that there's a flaw in that reasoning. But I'm not going to go into that right now because AGI, frankly, is very, very long way away. We are not close to achieving AGI, and we have no clear idea how to get there. We tend to be fooled in our estimate of when AGI will actually come to pass by narrow AI systems' performance on highly constrained tasks like chess and Go, tasks that are hard for us, hard for humans, but where we have had success in creating computers that actually perform better than we do. Often what seems easiest to us is very hard for computers, and what seems hard for us turns out to be relatively easy for computers to achieve. Now, I have a claim that I'm going to make, and that is that we will not achieve AGI until we achieve a thorough, top-down understanding of the human brain. And even then, we may not find a way to achieve AGI. Is it 50 years away? 100 years away? I don't know. But in any event, it's still in the realm of science fiction. So we can forget for now about either infinite productivity or the end of humanity. That is not what we have coming. Nonetheless, I will claim that the impact of the increasingly powerful applications of narrow AI will indeed change the world as we know it. Now let me pause and say something about the technology on which current AI systems are based. AI systems today are based on what's called neural nets. This is an architecture that is based loosely on human neurons and how they're connected together. Now the key thing, I'm not going to talk about the architecture itself, but the key thing is that the way you get a neural net to perform something is by training it, not by programming it. So unlike a traditional computer where you program, you give it explicit instructions, neural nets are trained. This training is one kind of what's known as machine learning. Now, the neural net architecture was introduced way back in the 1950s, but it wasn't until the second decade of the 2000s that stunning progress was made. This has come to be known as the deep learning revolution. It's called deep learning because it's named for the depth of the neural networks. The modern neural network systems often have hundreds of thousands of nodes in hundreds of layers. The first application of deep learning was to image recognition. There was a work by my co-director at the Human-Centered AI Institute at Stanford, Fei Li, who built ImageNet, which was a database of millions of photographs from the web, along with identifications of the objects in the image. This led to systems, deep learning systems, that could actually identify objects in a visual scene. This is something, by the way, that has been worked on for years and years and years using traditional programming techniques, and it has simply been recalcitrant. It's one of those problems that has resisted traditional programming techniques. Now we have computers that can actually recognize objects and images better than humans can. Similarly, I've already mentioned AlphaGo. That was the next really impressive application of deep learning. This was a company called DeepMind, which is now a part of Google, developed a system that could beat Lee Sedol, the best Go player in the world. So why did this technology, which has been around since 1950, why did it suddenly explode in the second decade of the 20th century? The reason is that it can only work when you have massive compute power and massive amounts of data to train the neural nets with. And it's only recently that we've had the adequate computer power. It's only been recently that we've had the massive amounts of data that are required to make neural net architectures work. So how is narrow AI, the ability to automate specific tasks, going to affect us? How is it going to affect the workforce? How is it going to affect industries? How is it going to affect consumers? Well, let me say a little bit about each of these. First of all, let's talk about how it will affect the workforce. People are very worried about job loss and worker displacement. But the first thing to recognize is that jobs are typically made up of multiple tasks. Multiple tasks. Think of what you do every day in the course of performing your job. You don't do just one thing. In general, you do many things, many different types of tasks that make up your job. For a job to be fully automated, all of the tasks involved must be automated. So it's actually rather rare to have complete replacement where a job category is simply replaced by an automated system. There are perhaps a few examples of these. Some factory work is completely automated, but it's really rather unusual. The U.S. Bureau of Labor compiles a list of job titles. And in the past 50 years, there's only one job title that is no longer listed: elevator operator. That's the one job that is now no longer around. So what is more common is that as we automate tasks, jobs are altered, jobs are redefined. What we do is different. Where parts of a job become automated, taken over by an AI system, other parts continue to be performed by humans. And often that involves a reconfiguration of which tasks make up a job, a category. So, for example, a radiologist. I'm sure you've all heard that we now have narrow AI systems that are very, very good at diagnosing and reading X-rays. So what a radiologist does in 10 years will be very, very different from what a radiologist does today. Frankly, a radiologist today has a job that tends to be rather tedious and rather boring, looking at outputs of X-rays, MRIs, CAT scans, and so forth. And most of them are not particularly interesting. Most of them are negative. But what the radiologist will do in 10 years is the radiologist will be used to interpret the most difficult cases, and the routine cases will be covered by narrow AI systems. But there will still be radiologists. Another example, let me take a few examples of the kinds of reconfiguration that really we've already seen happening. One obvious case is call centers. So call centers where you have telephone operators answering the phone for maybe credit card servicing or help centers. Credit call centers have been made much more productive and will be, as the AI technology improves, will be made more and more productive so that fewer operators can handle more calls. This is already happening, and what the result of that will be is that fewer people will be employed in call centers, but they will be far, far more productive. Let me give another example. So bank fraud. International banks are every day they survey a large number of transactions to see whether or not there's any evidence of, say, money laundering, fraudulent interactions. This is again a relatively tedious job because there are so many transactions that take place in a day. And so what banks have done traditionally is they have a small number of analysts, maybe 50 analysts, and they take random samples of transactions at the end of the day and they analyze them and they see if there's evidence of illegal activity. Nowadays, every bank, every large international bank has AI systems that recognize, they don't identify illegal transactions, they identify suspicious transactions. And they kick out suspicious transactions, and then the same 50 analysts that were employed before look at those. It turns out that the analysts now are far more effective because of this, because they're not wasting their time on large numbers of routine transactions. Furthermore, they're far, far better at finding fraudulent transactions because they can focus on the really suspicious transactions rather than looking at a lot of routine transactions. Another service that we all are familiar with is the automated systems that recognize credit card fraud or potential credit card fraud. It used to be back 10 years ago, 15 years ago, that the only way fraudulent uses of credit cards were discovered was the consumer, him or herself, would see a charge on their bill that they didn't recognize. And then the consumer would have to go to the company and try to get it cleared up. Now, instead, instantaneously, if a charge is made that is suspicious, it looks like it may not be the actual user of the card that has made the charge, then it's kicked out and blocked, and the user has to indicate that, yes, this is indeed me, if it is me making the charge. So if a charge is made suddenly somewhere else in the world where the consumer isn't, then it will be flagged as suspicious. This is a tremendous service that we all benefit from. So these are examples where we have jobs that get reconfigured, where productivity is increased, where quality is increased, and in some cases, as in the credit card case, where entirely new services are provided by automated systems. Now, There will be job losses in many industries. As I said, it takes fewer call center operators to handle the same amount of call, but job loss really will be slow, and it will be more of a reconfiguration of the jobs than a simple replacement. Counterbalancing that will be a large production of new jobs. Every industrial revolution historically has produced far more new jobs than it's destroyed. So prior to the agricultural revolution, virtually all jobs were on farms. Virtually everyone worked on a farm. Now, these jobs constitute a minuscule percentage of the population. And most people now live and work in cities rather than on farms. So there was a tremendous amount of job displacement when you think about it. But that job displacement was ultimately for the benefit of all of us. We now live much higher standards of living. So what is the effect going to be of AI on industries? Every industry that embraces AI and masters the technology will benefit from very large increases in productivity. Now, much of that productivity will be what I'll call classical productivity, producing more output with less labor required. And this, of course, is entirely to the benefit of the company, the industry that uses it. Some productivity, in fact, much of the productivity, however, will be what I call invisible productivity, productivity that is not measured by GDP. So what do I mean by that? Well, think about the following. I'm sure you all have heard of Moore's Law. So Moore's Law is that the amount of transistors that can be packed onto a computer chip increases doubles about every 18 months. And this has made more and more powerful computers possible and more powerful computers cheaper. So today, for the exact same price that we purchased, say, a PC 20 years ago, we can buy a PC, the same price, but it is far, far more capable, far computationally more powerful than the PC that we were buying with the same $1,000 20 years ago. Today, we carry around in our pockets computers that are far more capable than any computer on the face of the earth 50 years ago. So this kind of increase in products does not get captured by GDP because we don't charge more for it. It's not as if if I sell a single computer, I'm still selling a $1,000 computer. The fact that it is a far higher quality computer is the effect of what I call invisible productivity that goes completely to the benefit of the consumer. Okay, so let me go to my last question, which was what is the effect going to be on consumers? Well, the impact on consumers, who are ultimately the beneficiaries of increased productivity, both classical productivity and invisible productivity, the impact is that we are going to benefit immensely from cheaper, higher quality products and services, from new services that do not exist now, but will become services that we will be offered, and many will in fact be effectively free. So think, for example, of Google Translate. You can go and use Google Translate to translate from just about any language into any language, and the translations are getting better and better as time goes on, thanks to the use of narrow AI. So far, what I've said is there are a lot of good things that are going to come of AI. Now, is it all good? Is the picture entirely rosy? Not at all. So let me just touch on 3 of the less than rosy aspects of AI. First, I've already mentioned that job disruption will happen. Ultimately, the disruption will be temporary, and in fact, more jobs will be produced than are lost. But it will be disruptive. People will be put out of work, and they will have to either be retrained or they will continue to be unemployed. Society is going to have to adjust to it. But in the long run, over the course of a decade or 20 years, this adjustment will happen, and it will be to the benefit of all. The second question I have is actually to question what I just said. So who will capture the increased productivity? Some of it will be captured by consumers, all consumers. But there's a danger that AI and the new productivity that it brings with it will exacerbate income inequality. Now, the reason for this is because of something that economists talk of, the returns to labor versus the returns to capital. So how much productivity is gotten from a given investment in labor, people working, labor capital, versus capital, that is, new factories, new machines, and so forth. Well, as automation becomes increasingly effective, the returns to capital increase in proportion to the returns to labor. That means that it could be that most of the new productivity will be captured by a smaller and smaller proportion of the population that controls the capital. So that's the worry. Now, mind you, that is not necessarily going to happen. And I think it's important that we understand that danger and head off that danger. Make sure that we design a system in which the increased productivity is shared broadly. Now, let me conclude by touching on three malevolent uses of narrow AI. One use that is often discussed is the use of AI in offensive weapons. This could have a destabilizing force in international security, and that's a real concern. So we have to be aware of that, and we have to address it. Another use that has recently gotten a lot of focus is the use in surveillance technology and its use in oppressive regimes. So, for example, with facial recognition technology, all of a sudden we have the ability to identify people at a distance. So it has always been the case that fingerprints, for example, you could uniquely identify individuals by the use of gathering their fingerprints. But of course, you can't do that at a distance, whereas facial recognition technology gives us a way of doing a biometric identification at a distance. So that's really is quite concerning. And we will have to, by legislation and by regulation, make sure that we keep that technology controlled. Now, in my opinion, the biggest problem of all that we're going to face is disinformation. AI makes disinformation easier to produce, more targeted, and more persuasive. For example, there's a technology I'm sure you've heard of called deep fakes. This is a technology using narrow AI, using neural nets, that allows us to create images, videos of famous people saying or doing whatever we want them to do. So you can create a video of, the President of the United States saying something outrageous. Of course, he always does anyway, but we'll leave it at that. So this is in general. So my co-director of HAI actually calls disinformation the nuclear technology of the 21st century. The problem with that analogy is that nuclear technology is very expensive and difficult to create. Consequently, it's limited. It's relatively easy to limit. Disinformation technology is much easier for individuals, not just countries, not just wealthy individuals, but anyone to produce disinformation. And so this is a real problem. Once we become untethered from the truth, from a common baseline reality, society cannot survive. This, I think, is the real threat that we need to focus on. And the solutions to that threat will be both technological and via regulation. So I will end my talk there. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor, and it is really a very passionate subject, a revealing vision from which many questions arise. Also a subject which we could be talking about for hours. To answer some of these questions, I would like to introduce our president, joining us from Bogota. Go ahead, Noemi.
Gracias, Carla.
Thank you, Carla. How wonderful that there are teachers and a university dedicated to studying the positive consequences and the eventual threats of artificial intelligence. Professor, indisputably one of the biggest problems that humanity suffers are the differences, social and economic breaches, and poverty. With all this development, technology, artificial intelligence, the digital breach won't deepen the differences.
¿La brecha digital no ahondará las diferencias?
So I think, again, I do think that is a legitimate concern. But we have to recognize that the technology will increase productivity immensely. Now, that should be a good. That should be a good so long as we can guarantee that the increased productivity is shared by all. That is, that to a certain extent, everybody benefits from the new products, the new services, the new wealth that is created by this technology. There's no guarantee that will happen. And as you say, there is a danger that it will exacerbate the inequality and the difference between the wealthiest in society and the poorest in society. And that is indeed true, and it is a danger. But if we, as one of the people at my institute says, an economist, very well-known economist, he says that if that happens, then shame on us for not figuring out how to share that wealth better.
Professor, every day we find the offer of the book that we supposedly like, the movie that will presumably bring us a product that we want to buy, the right to intimacy as we know it, survives?
Roughly. So the question is about the increasing invasion, I guess, of privacy, of our privacy, in that we now have companies that are collecting information about everything we purchase, every website we go to, everything we watch on television, in theory, collecting information about where we are and where we travel. I think that is another genuine concern, and it's, again, a concern that people are now, thankfully, becoming more and more aware of, and more we are beginning to think about ways of dealing with it. The state, I live in California, and the state of California has introduced some very advanced laws to regulate what technology companies can collect, what kinds of information technology companies can collect, and how they can use that. And I think these are certainly the right way to go. And as that legislation goes into effect, I think it will quickly become very common across the United States, and I think it will become very common throughout the world, actually. So I think that we need to do that. It's something that we ended up letting the collection of all this data happen because we were not aware of the value of data. We have one researcher at my institute who is actually studying how to measure the value of an individual's data. And that is to say, how to measure the economic value that that data contributes to the companies that are using it. That gives us at least a way of beginning to talk about how much reimbursement individuals should be offered for their data, if indeed they continue to allow the companies to collect it.
Another subject, Professor, democracy. We see that today's candidates offer all that algorithms recommend, saying many times people vote under the influence of the networks. Will democracy survive? The possibility of choosing the best without the dictatorship of technology?
Yes, absolutely. This is a terrible and increasing problem, and this is the problem I touched on at the end of my talk, the problem of disinformation. And I take it that, as I said, once we lose touch with reality, a shared understanding of truth, at least a baseline shared understanding of truth, then once we lose that, we will see a breakdown not only in society but in democracy and everything else we try to do as a community. And I think there are. I hope I'm an optimist, and I think that there are ways that we will be able to control this and control it actually using the technology, the AI technology, to identify and recognize misinformation, disinformation, recognize and stop and put a stop very quickly to it. This is one of the problems with, for example, with the social networks, Facebook and so forth and so on, is how do you recognize it fast enough to put an end to it? So if you have an account that is producing disinformation, how do you find it quickly so that you can label it or you can shut down that account? And I think that there are technological ways of doing that, and we're now focusing on how to use that technology to actually block or combat the disinformation that is destructive, absolutely destructive to democracy.
Professor, it's a privilege that you have joined us today. We know that your time is valuable. I wanted to ask you something I am curious about. What's going to happen in the future? We have to exercise our memory. We used to learn verses, timetables, and we now see that this is not necessary. Will memory end in human beings?
I think that's a wonderful question, and I think in some ways it's already happened. You know, when you think about it, it used to be at, say, a family dinner, something would come up and there would be a disagreement, and people would say, well, you know, is it this or is it that, or, you know, I seem to remember this or I seem to remember that. And nowadays it's very easy to just Google on the web and find the answer instantaneously. In some ways, the fact that information is available at our fingertips about virtually everything has made an individual's memory less and less necessary. So we don't have to store facts in our heads because the facts are not only stored externally, but they're made very easily accessible to us. So in some sense, that is a memory augmentation technology. Now, the question that many people have is whether or not there will be ways of, in effect, making that available to us either by implanted technology or some other way. I remember I asked when Google first came out with their what's called Google Glass, which are these glasses that have a little screen up in the upper right, and everybody was wondering, well, what would they be used for? And I asked one of the founders of Google, Sergey. I asked him, I said, you know what I need is a technology that when I see a face, it recognizes the face and it tells me who it is, because I have a very poor memory for names. And he said, well, why would anyone want that? So Yes, I think that there are ways that information, the human ability to store information in one's brain is going to be less and less important because of this fact that we can access information so easily.
Thank you very much, Professor. I hope this dialogue, this conversation could be much longer. Technology and virtuality allows us to learn and speak with you, but we all hope we can meet you and shake your hand, give you a hug like us Latin Americans enjoy, because I want to remind everyone that you are Spanish. Thank you very much, President. Thank you, Professor. This transformative knowledge that sets human beings in the center of any technological project is a perfect link to introduce tonight's protagonists. They are the winners of their local competitions of the 10 countries which participate in these awards: Argentina, Belgium, Brazil, Chile, Colombia, Spain, Holland, Italy, Peru, and Portugal. They have passed a thorough analysis and rigorous from our everis evaluation team and volunteers and the jury to whom we especially wish to thank. The finalists of this international competition, and that we will watch as follow, have been chosen because they represent the objectives of this award. Projects based in technological innovation, which are at least in prototyping phase, that are adaptable, sustainable, innovative, and especially that are able to impact society with a positive and transformational footprint. Each one of the finalists will have 1 minute to present the synthesis on their project, and I will introduce them in alphabetical order. And we start with Argentina.
Hi, my name is Nicolas Rosenkovich, and I'm the CEO and co-founder of The Mind Company, where we help people develop new healthy behaviors directly from home. There are billions of people all around the world that struggle with unhealthy behaviors. So that's why we created this company, the first personalized, remote, and highly efficient behavioral change solution that combines virtual reality, psychotherapy, and mindfulness to help any individual change directly from home. We have begun with smoking and validated our technology, conducted clinical trials that it shows result more than 3 times in efficacy than standard intervention. And today, we sell this to corporations, organizations, and health insurance to help their members and affiliates to reduce their health-related costs. More important, we have already helped 2,500 people to overcome their cravings. Join the Mind Company today and start saving lives. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Argentina. And we now continue with Belgium.
Hi, I'm Alex from Shape, and we help public and private real estate owners reduce water consumption in buildings by 20%. At least 1 in 3 buildings present costly leakages any given time due to faulty plumbing, leaky toilets, and unregulated systems. These leakages account for 10 to 60% of the organization's water bill, who typically have many assets to manage and maintain daily. Shape combines a non-invasive sensor with advanced software analytics to automatically assess leakages in real time and alert staff in order to prioritize repairs cost effectively. In Belgium, we've helped hospitals, schools, municipalities, and real estate companies save hundreds of millions of liters of water annually. Today, we are looking to expand our services internationally so we can continue to fulfill our mission by helping property owners drastically improve their water usage. Thank you all for your support.
Muchas gracias, Bélgica. Y ahora vamos con Brasil.
Hello everyone, my name is Raul and I am the founder and CEO of CoreSync, a Brazilian startup that created a solution for fast and accurate infarction diagnosis. We are helping hospitals to deal with one of the deadliest diseases in the world. With a high sensitivity troponin test device that provides an accurate results in less than 10 minutes at the emergency room. The test is quick and easy. The blood sample is collected and inserted into the device that performs an automated test. After 8 minutes, the quantitative result is shown on the device screen. It can also be shown on the computer screen and uploaded to a cloud database. With little more information and a machine learning algorithm, we can provide intuitive dashboard to support clinical decision. We can save time. We can save lives. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Brazil. And we continue with Chile. Did you know that the World Economic Forum, in its last studies, highlights the needs for new business models focused in circular economy, determining an opportunity of almost $5 trillion in the following decade? This is how ecofuels is born, a technology that creates a triple impact through transformation of non-recyclable plastic waste into fuel. We use that 91% of the plastic that isn't recycled, gradually mitigating its impact on landfills, oceans, and the quality of the air we breathe. This way, we create a new chain of economic value that at the same time creates new job opportunities. Ecofuels offers innovative technology capable of transforming plastic into fuel through a patented thermochemical process, becoming a referral of circular economy. Remember, today's plastic waste is tomorrow's energy. We are ecofuels, and we offer you a better post-pandemic future. Thank you.
Thank you, Chile. Continue it with Colombia.
Hello everyone, I am Laura Velázquez. I am the co-founder and president of Arcángel IA. More than 56% of deaths that occur around the world are due to diseases that we know how to cure, but that are simply not detected in time. The problem consists that the current detection systems are very expensive, not adaptable, and require an infrastructure that very few countries have access to. For these reasons, we created Arcángel, software of artificial intelligence for the early detection of diseases that gives results 20 times quicker, 10 times more adaptable to rural and urban areas around the planet, and 5 times cheaper, maintaining precision to 95%. We were launched 3 months ago, and we have already varied our technology with more than 600,000 images diagnosed by specialists, 30 hospitals, and 122 doctors in a population of over 5 million inhabitants. I am here today because with your help we can expand further in the following months and grow to 10 new diseases, so that we can have an impact in over 50 million people. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Colombia. I think the projects are fantastic and that it has been difficult for the jury. We continue with Spain. We are Eindhoven. We were created to reduce heart disease and sudden death, automating the way in which they are diagnosed using artificial intelligence. Let's begin with a problem. Heart disease is the #1 cause of death in the world and the one with the highest cost in the healthcare system. I have worked as a cardiologist for many years and I have seen this pain firsthand every day. The real problem is time. We didn't have the appropriate tools. This made me waste hours every week analyzing my patients' electrocardiograms, trying to diagnose these illnesses. Looking around me, I saw many other doctors dealing with the same problem. European doctors dedicate approximately 1 million hours a day to this tedious duty. To help solve this problem, a group of specialists from the best institutions got together. Our mission and social impact are allowing us to bring this talent. Together, we have created William, a software of artificial intelligence to which we are teaching cardiology, and it is working. Its functions are: it reads the electrocardiograms and gives you a medical report with all the arrhythmias found. Thank you, Spain, and we now continue in Europe. Welcome, Holland.
Every person and every society wants the best for their children. Yet, there are still millions of children dying every year in developing countries from conditions which are easily treatable. Treatments are available, but the diagnosis comes too late due to a shortage of staff and lack of adequate equipment. At Gold3, we are developing a patient monitoring system that helps to address these challenges. Our algorithm-enhanced monitoring system will enable an early diagnosis and will reduce mortality and admission time by 20%. Our goal is to improve access to care for 100 million people by 2030. And of course, we cannot do this alone. That is why we have assembled a great team of technicians, medical experts, and entrepreneurs. In addition to that, we have secured great partnerships with academic institutes like the Amsterdam Medical Centers and many others. We are Goal 3. Please join our mission, because we all health.
Thank you very much, Holland, and this is the first time it participates in the everis Awards. We continue with Italy.
Hello, my name is Douglas and I'm the CEO and co-founder of PhotonPath, a deep tech startup based here in Milan, Italy. And did you know that more than 90% of all web traffic is transmitted through fiber optics? It is a $15 billion market in rapid expansion, especially in times of remote working. Here in PhotonPath, we are working exactly to transform the optical telecommunication networks with a technology called integrated photonics. It is a technology that enables the integration of thousands of optical devices in a single chip. We have a patented circuit design, and an external foundry fabricates the chip for us. A packaging company encapsulates it. We then calibrate the device with our proprietary electronics, perform quality control, and send it to our customers. We have NDA signed with more than 10 potential customers that have already shown interest in integrating our chips into their products. In our roadmap, we also have products that target larger customers that will deploy our products directly on a cabinet close to your home and office. Join PhotonPath to bring faster, cheaper, and more reliable internet.
Thank you very much, Italy, and we return to Latin America. Welcome, Peru.
Hola, soy Víctor de Autoresponder.
My name is Victor, and we help entrepreneurs to use automatic pilot from their cell phones. Imagine for a moment attending your clients' messages this way. We currently have 2.5 million users. We had 200,000 euros in sales in the last 12 months, and we're growing at a 17 monthly rate. This was due to the fact that since coronavirus, more than 400 million entrepreneurs needed to learn better and quicker on social media. For this, we created Autoresponder, a mobile app to automate frequent questions received from their clients on social media. And what makes us special? Accessibility. Being so easily implemented in just a few minutes without previous technical knowledge, it opens the opportunity to millions of entrepreneurs to automate their business. As a team, we have what it takes to make Autoresponder grow. But we are sure that with your support, we will have the opportunity to grow rapidly and create the global impact we need.
Gracias.
Muchas gracias, Perú. Y ahora volvemos a Europa y nos queda el último proyecto del día de hoy. Bienvenido, Portugal.
Hello, I'm Joana Vaz, CSO and co-founder of Ophiomics Precision Medicine.
And I'm José Leal, co-founder and CEO of Ophiomics. We are scientists turned entrepreneurs. We worked in the precision oncology field for many years, in academia and industry, and together for more than 10 years.
In our company, we combine my expertise in cancer genomics and José's expertise in bioinformatics. We develop in vitro diagnostic tools powered by artificial intelligence to tackle liver cancer.
Our most mature product is HepatoPredict. It's an in vitro diagnostic tool that is starting clinical trials now. It combines molecular markers with clinical variables using machine learning to select the right patients for the right surgical treatment, including curative liver transplantation.
Since liver cancer is the second cause of death from cancer worldwide, HepatoPredict is a solution for a global problem that will save thousands of lives every year.
We're aiming for a global market and to turn Ophiomics into the market leader for liver cancer precision medicine.
Thank you very much, Portugal, and congratulations to all the projects, because they are really very good. Having such high-quality projects competing for our awards fills us with enthusiasm and makes us commit even further to keep supporting innovation, talent, and entrepreneurship. Today, only one will be chosen, but they are all winners. We know that starting up is not easy, as our president mentioned, and the attitude of entrepreneurs is the promise of this world that we want to reimagine. To announce the winner and give the award, prize money of 60,000 euros in a startup fund, and specialized mentoring from the everis group valued at 10,000 euros, we invite Kaz Nikihata, Executive Vice President from NTT Data, who joins us from Tokyo. Thank you very much, Kaz, for joining us today.
Buenos días.
todos. Hello, everyone. The award for entrepreneurship that Everest Foundation carries out together in the essence most of the various values that we also share as a company in NT Data Group and as a global society. Entrepreneurship, cooperation, perseverance, and solidarity are implicit in all entrepreneurs who have submitted their projects to those awards. And the Everest Foundation, by promoting them, give the opportunity to all the company's teams to voluntarily join in the work that is useful to others. When a group of people bring together their unique worldviews, share their wisdom, and work towards a common goal, the result goes far beyond. In the Everest Awards, the promotion process also includes a training exercise with the mentoring of the most outstanding project. They are essential because they are showing education, the base for the generating well-being in society. Greeting to all those who have supported the realization of those awards. To the entrepreneurs who participated from all countries, and to company teams that are linked as organizer, evaluator, mentor, or jury. Greetings to all who have gathered around innovation and one of the essential tools for creating a most prosperous and harmonious society. Together is how we make innovation happen. Together with each person who dedicated his or her efforts to thinking of technological solutions capable for transforming society. And we have seen a clear example of this today in the 10 finalists of Everest Award. 10 high-impact technology projects with entrepreneurs who have chosen to think about improving our lives. Congratulations to all of them. This year, the Everest Award goes to the project Arcangel AI from Colombia, an artificial intelligence algorithm for the early detection of disease such as COVID-19 or malaria in remote areas, which generate faster, more scalable, more cost-effective results, and great accuracy. Congratulations, the entrepreneur Laura Belanquez and all the team that lead the initiatives. Thank you. Gracias.
Hola, hola a todos. ¿Me escuchan? Qué pena, estoy súper nerviosa. Muchísimas gracias, de verdad, estamos súper contentos. Hola, hola a todos. Estamos súper contentos. Qué pena, estoy súper nerviosa. Muchísimas gracias, de verdad, estamos súper contentos. Qué pena. Ya. Bueno, quiero darle las gracias a todos. De verdad, esto es increíble. Como que no me lo esperaba, de verdad. Acá estamos mi cofundador y yo. Y pues nada, muy emocionados de poder estar acá. Diana.
Muchas gracias por esta súper gran oportunidad. Es increíble ver la cantidad de emprendimientos tan espectaculares que hay en este concurso. La primera vez que los vimos a todos los finalistas, no podíamos creer que estuviéramos aquí. Es espectacular que apoyen emprendimientos que cambien el planeta, como todos los que están hoy aquí. Muy emocionante. Muchísimas gracias.
Además, porque ha sido un reto súper interesante desde que aplicamos al momento que estamos acá, porque hubo mucho apoyo por parte de Everis, hubo unas mentorías maravillosas que nos han permitido crecer y llegar a lo que estamos haciendo hoy, pero más que todo me siento orgullosa del equipo que hemos construido y llegar hasta donde estamos. Me gustaría para el siguiente año poder ver más mujeres empoderadas y haciendo todo lo que estamos haciendo.
Muy bien.
Gracias. Okay, sorry, but I'm super excited. So I just want to say thanks to all the teams here because they are amazing. They are more than wonderful. So we are surprised to win this competition, and I'm proud of all the teams and as well my team. So I just want to say thanks to everyone. So I'm glad to be part of all the to be part of this amazing competition. So I don't know if you want to say something else.
Yes, thank you everyone. This is amazing, and we're really excited to hopefully work with all of you in the future. Special thanks to our team. They are the magic behind all of this. We couldn't do anything of this if we didn't have a team like the one we have, and all of the mentors, people from everis, from la Cámara de Comercio, from Colombia. This is a cooperative project, and hopefully this will be in many places in the future. And thank you again. This is amazing. Really excited about this.
I'm excited as well from the other teams, about the other teams. They're amazing too. So I just want to say congratulations to all of them because they are amazing. They are really, really good. So I believe they are doing a lot of things that it's going to impact not just their countries, but as well the world. So congratulations. Thank you.
Congratulations, Laura. Congratulations, Colombia. And thanks to all who have joined us in this 19th edition of the Everis Awards, which is coming to an end. I hope that next year we will meet again and hopefully face to face. In the meantime, let's continue believing in the talent. Let's continue reimagining solutions with optimism, because optimism gives us an opportunity and using it is what's really innovative. Good evening and good afternoon.